Part 18. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zai. Chapter 171. Chapter 171. Her blood saved him. Suddenly, Mu Shanai was kicked far away by a shadowless leg. He made an arc in the sky and used his internal strength to land firmly on the ground. Zizi, are you okay? Lun Zhenqi hugged her waist, full of dominance. Yang Zizi was shocked. Wasn't the prosperous age of Lun already? Why, she was so excited that she couldn't help but shed tears. She thought he had left her forever. It's okay, maybe the god of death felt that she was too pitiful, so he gave her the prosperous life. Yang Zizi got into Lun Zhenqi's arms and cried loudly. She simply couldn't imagine how bad her life would be after losing Lun Zhenqi. Whoa, fortunately you're okay. I thought I would never see you again. Fool, I said I will protect you for the rest of my life, so I will never break my promise. Lun Zhenqi hugged her tightly and comforted her. You were clearly dead just now, why did you come back to life again? Yang Zizi asked curiously. Did vampires have the ability to resurrect, or could vampires not be killed by demons? It was your blood that saved me. Lun Zhenqi lowered his voice and told her. My blood? Yang Zizi was puzzled. How could she, an ordinary human, be able to save a vampire? You will know later. Lun Zhenqi patted her head gently. Mu Chanai was also shocked when he saw that Lun Zhenqi, who should have died under his arrow, suddenly came back to life. Over thousands of years, he has killed countless people. Whether they were vampires, angels, or even the rare werewolves, they all died under his arrows, and no one has survived. Today, it really opened his eyes. He couldn't help but look suspiciously at whether the arrow in his hand had been dropped. After confirming it, he really couldn't guess why Lun Zhenqi was different. At the end of the scene, Shen Yi opened his eyes wide and looked at Yang Zizi in disbelief. He suddenly realized that he had almost forgotten that the angel's blood could both kill and save people. It all depended on her will. From this point of view, Yang Zizi must have saved him. However, with good things comes bad. If you use your own blood to save two dead people at the same time in a short period of time, the angel will die on the spot and enter the 18th level of hell, where he will never be reincarnated. In the scene, Shen Yi sneered sarcastically, since I can't kill you once, I'll kill you a second time. At the end of the scene, Shen Yi raised his arrow and aimed at the prosperous age of Lun. Yang Zizi ran to Lun Zhenqi and said loudly, Mu Chanai, I beg you to let him go. As long as you let him go, I will promise you anything. She could not feel the pain of losing Lun Zhenqi again. Desperate, that would drive her crazy. Okay, then leave him and be my woman, become the queen of hell. Muchen Yi, why don't you understand? I don't like you at all. Neither of us will be happy if we force ourselves to be together like this. Much Shen Yi was heartbroken by these words. She, who should have been unaware, actually felt what heartache felt like. I just want you. I don't care whether you love me or not. Mu Chanai waved his hand. Muchen Yi, this is not love at all. You don't love me at all. You just want to occupy me. I love you, Zizi. For you, I will keep you by my side at all costs. You are a devil, you don't understand what love is at all. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zai. Chapter 172. Chapter 172. He also wants them to love but cannot. Lun Zhenqi on the side was completely angered. Zizi, go back to the car first, and don't come out. No matter what happens today, I have to kill him. Yang Zizi caught the impulsive Lun Zhenqi. He knew the devil's methods and abilities. He didn't want to experience the desperate feeling just now. Losing Lun Zhenqi was 1,000 times more painful than being tortured by Mu Chanai. No, you can't beat him. Believe me, I am the god of war. Lun Zhenqi's eyes were firm. No, Lun Zhenqi doesn't want it, I beg you, don't want it, Maybe we have other ways. Yang Zizi turned to Mu Chenai at a loss. Mu Chenai, what on earth are you going to do to let us go? Mu Chenai pondered for a moment and said slowly, what I can't get, no one else can hope to get. In the prosperous age of Lun, I want you to leave her forever and never appear in front of her. I want you all to love her and not be able to get it, feel the same pain as me, Mu Chenai yelled mercilessly. It's just wishful thinking. Oh? Really? Can you really stay by his side forever, God of War? Mu Chenai looked at Lun Zhenji jokingly. The word God of War emphasized the tone. He seemed to know Lun Zhenji better than anyone else. Lun Zhenji's heart sank, as if he had been told something that was in his heart. He was right. With or without Mu Chenai, he and Yang Zizi could not be together forever. This was doomed from the beginning. Although we love each other, we cannot love each other after all. Okay, Lun Zhenji said this word forcefully after a long time. Yang Zizi couldn't help but praise Lun Zhenji in his heart. He is indeed the little prince of acting. If he is in the entertainment industry like Gui Chen Chen, he will definitely be responsible for his strength and traffic. I can't help but sigh, the country owes you an Oscar. Shen Yi smiled triumphantly at the scene. I will only give you 3 days, and leave her immediately after 3 days. On the way back in the car, Yang Zizi danced excitedly and praised Lun Zhenji's acting skills. In that part, tolerance and heartache, as well as helplessness and reluctance, every emotion was mixed together and he controlled it to death. My uncle, you are great, how about I open an entertainment company and make you the best actor? Yang Zizi's mind was wide open and he began to imagine their future. Lun Zhenji smiled helplessly and couldn't help but touch her head, but the expression in his eyes was extremely complicated. Look, you not only deceived the Vampire King, you even deceived the devil. You are too powerful. If you can't do it, you should just debut where you are. I will be your first super VIP fan. Yang Zizi kept chattering a lot in Lun Zhenji's ears. Lun Zhenji listened patiently to his children's serious nonsense, smiling fondly from time to time. If they were all ordinary people, without hatred or racial transgression, then he would make everything Yang Zizi said come true without hesitation. But, I'm sorry. These days, Lun Zhenji has been too cold to her, and his bedtime stories at night are also absent-minded. This can't help but make Yang Zizi a little scared. He recalled what Lun Zhenji had promised Shen Yi, and looking at his realistic acting skills, he became frightened in his heart. He should have chosen to believe that everything he said was all a lie to Shen Yi, but thinking of his expression at that time, she was really afraid that he was really pretending. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 173. Chapter 173. She is too scared. Just in case, Yang Zizi sticks to Lun Zhenji like brown candy every day and never leaves his side for a moment. The most common thing he says to him every day is, "You will always be by my side and you will never leave, right?" She hugged Lun Zhenji tightly, and when he pretended not to hear and deliberately changed the subject, she kept pestering him until he answered that sentence, then she smiled broadly and hugged him over and over again. At this moment, the prosperous life of Lun is happy. In 1,000 years, he has never been as happy as now. Meeting Yang Zizi was the most beautiful moment in his life. It was she, an ordinary human girl, who made him understand that love is what, love means running in both directions, giving up everything for him, even if the end of the world comes, he is willing to hold up a piece of heaven and earth for him with one hand, shelter him from wind and rain, and carry the burden forward. In the next few days, she loved to laugh and make noise, and he was worried, but he still doted on his children. One day, Yang Zizi went to the school office building to look for Lun Zhenji, but found that he was not there. Yang Zizi felt as if he had lost the whole world in an instant, running hard to find him everywhere. Finally, she was so tired that she almost suffocated and found him in the company. She ran over, hugged him tightly, and breathed heavily, as if she had found her own life-saving straw. She has been inexplicably sensitive recently. She is so afraid of losing that she will go crazy as soon as he disappears from her eyes. Her fearful tears flowed down her face, and she instantly became the little crybaby of the Lunzhung family. Lun Zhenji chuckled fondly, "Fool, didn't you say that I will always be by your side?" No matter how much he promised, her tears could not stop flowing down. She was so scared. Yang Zizi let him go. Lun Zhenji saw her face flushed and gasping for air, and he knew how desperate she was the moment she didn't see him. "Don't let me not see you." Okay, Lun Zhenji smiled fondly, pulled her over and held her in his arms, with a painful look on her face. "I'm sorry, Zizi, I shouldn't have broken into your life, but since all this has happened, nothing can be avoided." He finally felt it. It turned out that this was the feeling of heartache, which was simply worse than death. Zhen, if I had known earlier I wouldn't have come. Just shower me with dog food as soon as I come. As soon as Bai's Hishu, a straight man, walked in, he saw the young couple chattering together. Not only did he not know how to avoid suspicion, he even couldn't help but complain. It can only be said that his emotional intelligence is not high enough. "What are you doing here?" When Yang Zizi saw Bai's Hishu, he really wanted to kick him back. He was really good at choosing the right time. "I asked him to come." Lun Zhenji's voice was haggard and lacked the arrogance of the past. Yang Zizi pursed his lips and glanced at him. "Baby, go hang out downstairs first. Bai's Hishu and I have something to say." Lun Zhenji's voice was so soft that no one could stand it. Even Bai's Hishu, who was standing aside and continuing to eat dog food, had goosebumps all over his body. "Well, then you have to hurry up." Yang Zizi glanced at Lun Zhenji with uneasiness, and after getting his promise, he left the office obediently. "Brother, why did you call me here at this time? I don't even need to eat, I'm full." Bai's Hishu fell on the sofa and complained. After working hard to manage his company for a month, he was exhausted. Now he finally gave himself a vacation, but he was called back again. They must have been love rivals in their previous lives. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 174. Chapter 174. The company gives away people. Sign this contract, and this company will be yours from now on. Lun Zhenji threw a contract to Bai's Hishu. Bai's Hishu took a look at the contract and said in shock, "Lun Zhenji, are you crazy? I only care about this company for less than a month, and you have to give it to me." "I don't want it." The contract was thrown back to Lun Zhenji. He is a real estate tycoon and lives a carefree and free life. Why should he put pressure on himself? What's more, he can't resist this company. "I'm leaving," Lun Zhenji said solemnly. "What? You and Yang Zizi are going to live in seclusion in the mountains and forests and not care about worldly affairs?" Bai's Hishu's first reaction was that Lun Zhenji should take Yang Zizi away from this noisy and ruthless society. Spend this life peacefully. "It's me, but actually I don't belong to human beings." "What?" Bai's Hishu thought that Lun Zhenji had lost his mind and was serious when talking nonsense. People who didn't know better would be fooled by him. But looking at Lun Zhenji's appearance, it doesn't look like he is joking. "Brother, in order for me to take over your company, you don't need to come up with such a thing to scare me. I'm not a 3-year-old child." Bai's Hishu stood up and put his hand on his shoulder. "Brother," said loyally. Lun Zhenji looked solemn. With a slight push, Bai's Hishu was pushed away and hit the wall hard. This was the consequence of not trusting him. You just have to believe what he said, as long as others provide evidence. With a boom, a pair of huge black wings summoned from Lun Zhenji's back. Bai's Hishu was so shocked that he could no longer stand on his long legs. This is the first time for him to see such a famous scene in his life. Growing up in the capital, he thought he was well informed. Unexpectedly, at this moment, he suddenly felt that he was ignorant. You. Bai's Hishu looked at the wings on Lun Zhenqi's back and approached him timidly, trying to identify whether the wings were real or fake. Maybe Lun Zhenqi used a prop to scare him into submission. He quickly walked behind Lun Zhenqi and carefully observed his wings. They were too realistic, as if they were real. He carefully stretched out an index finger, wanting to touch it. This feeling is more real than real. He looked at Lun Zhenqi in disbelief. The best brother he has always known is not a human being, and he has not even noticed it for so many years. It was only now that he understood that the reason for the series of miraculous events that happened while he was with him was finally found. You, what breed are you? Bai's Hishu said this tremblingly. Vampire of the vampire race. Bai's Hishu was so frightened that he had seen movies about vampires. The vampires in the movie are cruel, and they only live by drinking human blood. However, in his prime, he seemed to have never seen him drink human blood. I'm begging you, take over this company whether you want to sell it or it goes bankrupt because of you, I don't blame you. Bai's Hishu suddenly remembered that he was leaving. At this point, was he leaving alone or with Yang Zizi? You just said you were leaving, where and with whom? I am alone, in a territory outside the human world. He stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, but he was reflected in the glass. Heartache slowly hit my heart, reaching deep into the bone marrow. Every cell, every meridian, and even every hair was trembling with pain. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 175. Chapter 175 The Final Fight. What about Yang Zizi? What will she do if you leave? Bai's Hishu asked worriedly. Her original life was messed up by me. I should give her a quiet and peaceful life, Lun Zhenqi said helplessly. What happened to make you want to leave him so firmly? Seeing the relationship between them break up, Bai's Hishu couldn't believe that true love still existed in this world. She is a human and I am a vampire. Do you think it is possible for the two of us? I have caused enough harm to her. If I don't leave her, she will die. Not only the vampires will kill her, but also the devil will not let her go. If his letting go can bring her eternal peace, he is willing to let her go. Do you really have the heart to leave her? Bai's Hishu looked at him and couldn't help but feel heartbroken. For so many years, he had never seen such an expression in Lun Zhenqi. I'm afraid only Yang Zizi could do that in this world. Hurt him. If it were you, you would make the same choice. Lun Zhenqi slowly folded his wings, walked to the office chair and sat down, lowering his head, holding his temples with both hands, secretly feeling sad. Bai's Hishu stood aside, but didn't know how to help him. He seems to be of no help at all. He is a vampire, and even vampires have no choice but to accept their fate, let alone a defenseless human like him. Lun Zhenqi was cooking in the kitchen wearing an apron, but his mind went blank. He was so distracted that he took the wrong ingredients several times. Ha! Yang Zizi suddenly jumped on his back, hanging on him and acting coquettishly. Sunflower acupuncture pointer, the child was so playful that he played a child's game with him. Lun Zhenqi chuckled and cooperated with Yang Zizi, saying, how can I cook for you if you are so immobile? Yang Zizi tilted his head and thought for a moment. That's what he said. Okay, I'll help you untie it for my wife's sake. Yang Zizi laughed and laughed. After speaking, he kissed Lun Zhenqi's side face and said, okay, it's untied. Lun Zhenqi put down the spatula, brought her to him, and kissed her lips deeply. If possible, I really wish that time could be frozen at this second. Yang Zizi was surprised to find a tear slowly falling from the corner of Lun Zhenqi's eyes. Lun Zhenqi also felt that the tears that he couldn't control were about to fall, so he immediately let go of Yang Zizi and stopped talking, panicking for fear of being seen by her. "Uncle, why are you crying?" Yang Zizi teased him. "This chili is so spicy that it hurts my eyes," Lun Chenchi complained, pointing to the chili on the chopping board. Yang Zizi was amused by Lun Chenchi, and a vampire actually cried because of the hot peppers from humans. He is the god of war. Such a shameful thing happened. After she finished laughing, she suddenly put her hands on his shoulders, stood up on her tiptoes, and kissed his eyes. Yang Zizi frowned. Why were his tears so bitter? It was so bitter to the bottom of her heart. At the dining table, she was eating, and he watched quietly. "It would be great if my brothers were here." Yang Zizi suddenly missed the days when every meal was very lively. The brothers would always run to their house as soon as it was time for dinner, showing off their annoying characteristics to the extreme. Suddenly her brothers were no longer here, and she was a little uncomfortable with it. Although they were all vampires, they made her truly feel what it was like to have a family. "I really hope that they are my biological brothers, but how is this possible? She is a human and her brothers are vampires. This is not a trivial matter at all." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 176. Chapter 176 Eyelid War. "Perhaps it would be better if they stayed away from you," Lun Chenchi said deeply. Yang Zizi did not answer the words and pursed his lips. After all, he is not his biological brother, and he will be lost sooner or later. Then just think of it all as a dream. Night. Yang Zizi hugged his waist tightly, resting her face on his flat chest, and her legs were wrapped around Lun Chenchi's long legs. "Tie the other person tightly to your side, for fear of losing him." She listened quietly to Lun Chenchi's story. Although she was very sleepy, she stubbornly held up her eyelids. Whenever her eyelids were about to close, Yang Zizi would leave and open her eyes wide to cheer herself up. I don't know why, she didn't dare to sleep tonight. Perhaps it's because recent events have made her too sensitive. Lun Chenchi looked at Yang Zizi, who was still struggling to sleep, smiled, and said, "Go to sleep, it's okay." He patted her back gently. Yang Zizi shook her head coquettishly and crawled into his arms, wishing that the two of them could become one. "I'm not sleepy, I don't want to sleep." She shook her head and brainwashed herself. "Look, you have dark circles under your eyes." Lun Chenchi tapped her eyelids lovingly. "I'm really not sleepy." I don't know what time it was, but she finally closed her eyes and fell asleep. The next morning, Yang Zizi woke up and the sun was already high in the sky. Uncle Yang Zizi habitually called his uncle for a good morning kiss as soon as he got up. But even after calling for a long time, Lun Chenchi didn't see a gust of wind coming. Her mind felt as if a bomb had been dropped and exploded. She suddenly woke up and ran to the living room and ran into the kitchen immediately. At this time, she could see Lun Chenchi busy making breakfast for her in the kitchen every day. But, this time, he seems to be gone. The kitchen door was still closed, and there was no one inside. Lun Chenchi, Yang Zizi began to panic. This panic was like killing her, making her extremely desperate. "Lun Chenchi," Yang Zizi shouted his name in the villa. He searched every corner and still could not find him. She called his number, but it turned out to be empty. She went completely crazy. Wearing pajamas and slippers, she ran out of the villa and drove all over the world to look for him. Schools, companies, everywhere they went, he searched them all. He was like her dream all night, and when she woke up there was nothing. "Lun Chenchi, where have you been?" She dragged her tired body as she walked through the company. Employees looked at me strangely. They all thought she had been abandoned by the president and came to the company to make a fuss. "Lun Chenchi, "Where are you?" Yang Zizi yelled crazily. He clearly said that he would not leave her and that he would protect her forever. Why, he wanted to lie to her. It happened that Bai's Hishu arrived at the company at this time, saw the embarrassed Yang Zizi, and ran over. Zizi, he looked at her heartbrokenly, but could not tell her that Lun Zhenqi was gone forever and would never appear again. Bai's Hishu, where is Lun Zhenqi? Where did Lun Zhenqi go? You guys chatted for so long yesterday. What did you say? Can you tell me? Yang Zizi grabbed Bai's Hishu's arm excitedly. The force was too strong, and Bai's Hishu's arm was bleeding from her pinch, leaving a big gash. But Yang Zizi didn't seem to notice it at all. Bai's Hishu endured the pain, but he didn't expect that love could make a person so crazy. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 177. Chapter 177. Looking for him like crazy. Zizi, calm down first. Let's go to the office first and I'll talk to you slowly. Bai's Hishu comforted her, hoping that he could calm down. Yang Zizi calmed down and followed Bai's Hishu to the office on the top floor. As soon as I walked into the office, the pain in my heart became more intense. What did Lun Zhenqi say to you? Yang Zizi stepped forward and grabbed him again. His Bai's Hishu was in unbearable pain. How could this woman be so cruel? He said that he was innocent. But of course he had to help clean up the mess left by his brother. Who makes him the most righteous? Yesterday he told me that he was going to a place other than humans, because he is a vampire, and he will only hurt you when he is around you. Then when will he come back? Yang Zizi looked at Bai's Hishu expectantly, wanting him to give him a satisfactory answer. It doesn't matter if he leaves, she can wait. As long as he can come back, he is willing to wait for as long as it takes. Bai's Hishu stammered, avoiding her gaze and said, I don't know about this. Then where did he go? Yang Zizi roared loudly. Bai's Hishu was actually a little scared. He was very innocent, but he was killed for no reason. However, full of desire for survival, he still tried his best to answer Yang Zizi's question, I don't know this, and he didn't tell me. Looking at Bai's Hishu's appearance, it didn't look like he was lying. Then what else did he say to you? Just said he was leaving the company to me, and then it would be gone. Bai's Hishu explained honestly and clearly. Yang Zizi turned around in despair and staggered out of the office. She felt weak all over, as if all her blood had been drained away, like a living dead. Zizi, Bai's Hishu quickly ran forward and helped Yang Zizi, who was about to fall. Had I known that he should have hugged Lun Zhenqi's thigh and refused to let him go. It's fine now, he's the one to clean up the mess. Bai's Hishu ordered his assistant to send Yang Zizi home and send a few more stout bodyguards to protect him around the villa. He was afraid that Yang Zizi would be tempted to commit suicide in despair. There were many such cases in TV dramas. Yang Zizi sat on the corner of the bed, wrapped himself tightly with his hands, and cried loudly. She lost him after all. What should she do? Everything seems to be meaningless. She has nothing left. She had a vague image in her mind of a sloppy little girl standing at the door of the orphanage, her eyes filled with melancholy that shouldn't be seen at her age. As day after day passed, Yang Zizi kept sitting on the corner of the bed. Don't wash your hair, don't take a shower, don't brush your teeth, don't wash your face, just sit like a madman. Whenever there was the slightest movement outside, she saw hope as if she was electrocuted. But when she ran out and saw that it was not that person, she was heartbroken. She spent the day on the floor today, the corner of the bed tomorrow, and the kitchen the day after tomorrow. Days and nights passed like this. The head teacher was very worried when she saw that Yang Zizi had not come to school for a long time. It was only 8 months before the college entrance examination, and she was still skipping classes. The school called Yang Zizi but couldn't get through, so they called the Gu family. Yang Ruimin learned that her daughter had not gone to school for several days. She was worried and called and contacted the police. Finally, Yang Zizi was found lying in the bathroom in the villa. She was still wearing the pajamas and slippers from the day Lun Zhenji left. Hair is wet, and there is no hope at all in his expression. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 178. Chapter 178 Awakening from the Dream. Zizi, what's wrong with you? Yang Ruimin felt heartbroken when she saw her daughter in such a mess. What happened to make this hopeful girl look like this now? He left. He said he would never leave me, but he lied to me. He left without saying a word. Her lips were chapped, and her voice was even less energetic. Yang Ruimin hugged her and said distressedly, "It doesn't matter, Mom will always be by your side, and Mom will never leave you." Yang Ruimin wanted to take Yang Zizi home, but she didn't want to. She wanted to live in this villa and protect their memories. Yang Ruimin did not force her, and bluntly said that she wanted to stay with her. Yang Zizi did not object and acquiesced. These days, Yang Zizi's life is finally not as bad as the previous days. But every time in the dead of night, she couldn't help crying loudly. She couldn't control her thoughts about him. Nor could he accept the fact that he left her without saying a word. In the days to come, she will feel more difficult and painful day by day. Every night, Yang Ruimin would accompany her, comfort her and take good care of her. "Zizi, you have to cheer up. There are many good boys in this world. Maybe she left because she wanted you to have a better one." Yang Ruimin hugged her and patted her back gently to comfort her. "In this world, in my heart, he is the best." Yang Zizi's eyes were red and swollen, and they were bloodshot. "Zizi," Yang Ruimin endured the pain and wanted to continue to persuade her. Yang Zizi left her embrace, looked at Yang Ruimin, and said haggardly, "Don't worry, I am a Xiaoqiang who cannot be defeated. I will definitely find Lun Zhenji." Yang Ruimin looked at her daughter with relief. "How about going home with Mom?" Yang Zizi looked around the room for a week. Although there were beautiful memories for the two of them in this villa, she didn't want to let herself suffer anymore because she saw things and missed people. She must cheer up and find Lun Zhenji, ask her clearly in person, "Why did you leave without saying goodbye? Why did you lie to her?" She suddenly saw their wedding photos hanging on the wall. She deliberately hung it in the most conspicuous place, hoping that she could take a look at him before and after going to bed. In the past, when she saw the photos, she could not suppress the happiness and excitement in her heart, but now, she feels like a joke just thinking about it. She seemed to have discovered that not only was there nothing in the villa, but even the wedding photos they had taken in various countries were gone, leaving only this Yang Zizi's favorite. His wings were really dazzling. Although they were black, they were dazzling in her eyes. "How happy I am to be wrapped in his wings. But, all this has disappeared." Finally, she decided to leave here. She shouldn't think about him. He is a vampire and he is human. How can two species from different worlds stay together for a lifetime? Just think of all this as a dream. After waking up from the dream, it's time to return to reality. Yang Zizi turned around, looked at the closed door, and left resolutely with Yang Ruimin. Before leaving, she glanced at the villa next to her. The door was also closed. Yang Zizi sneered and laughed at himself. What was he hoping for? What else can a small human being expect? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 179. Chapter 179 Transferring to another school. Yang Ruimin was very happy to take Yang Zizi home, and Guyeoi even put down his work and went straight home. The brothers also hung around her and were reluctant to leave. Zizi, your two brothers have transferred to other schools. How about you also transfer to their school? This way you can be close to home and use the time you spend commuting to and from school to review. You are about to enter your senior year of high school. The college entrance examination is it's especially important. Yang Ruimin sat on the sofa, holding Yang Zizi's hand and starting to plan her future. Yang Zizi acquiesced. Since it was going to be broken, let's just break it cleanly. Okay, Yang Zizi said coldly. Looking at him like this, the brothers thought that their sister was unwilling. Sister, it's okay if you don't want to change. At worst, my brothers will go back to cover you. Yang Zizi glanced at them lightly, not knowing who was covering whom next. Yang Ruimin gave her brothers a sharp look. Who said her baby was unwilling to change schools? Brothers, shut up and stop talking. Tomorrow happens to be the start of the new semester. I will go to school with my brothers to report. Do they want to repeat the reading? Yang Zizi asked. How could we need to repeat the studies? The university we applied for is not far from your school, Gu Zixi declared loudly to protect her face. I asked them to apply for that school. I have always wanted you to transfer to the school here so that you can live at home. Yang Ruimin looked at her daughter lovingly, doting on her unconditionally. She wants to compensate Yang Zizi for all the love she has lost over the years. We think so too, Gu Zhaozhao said with a smile. Yang Zizi didn't know how to speak. He didn't know what they would do if he revealed that he was not their daughter, and whether they would go crazy in despair. Forget it, I won't tell them for now. On the second day, Yang Ruimin was busy preparing things for Yang Zizi to go to school. Since she didn't choose to live on campus, she didn't need too many things. However, Yang Ruimin, who loves her daughter very much, packed more luggage than a student living on campus. Mom, am I going to study abroad? Yang Zizi couldn't help but complain. Yang Ruimin smiled and looked at the pile of luggage, but she didn't think it was too much. Of course you have to be fully prepared to go to school, especially this year. During the sprint stage, you will need more things, Yang Ruimin said with a smile, wishing that everything in the world could be given to her. There's no need to bring so much. I'm not a dormitory student, so I don't need these things at all. Yang Zizi ordered his servants to move them away. Then whatever you need, Mom will prepare it right now. I will prepare it myself, Yang Zizi said coldly. The brothers also packed up. They didn't take anything, but they dressed up as if they were going to participate in some activity. It looks good, but it doesn't suit the occasion. How about it, sister? Have you ever been fascinated by your brother? The two brothers pretended to be a boy band to show off. Yang Zizi was not interested at all and ignored them. Mom, we two brothers will help you bring back a daughter-in-law today, Gu Zixi said in an unserious manner. Yang Ruimin gave him a roll of eyes and told them to take good care of Yang Zizi and never let him suffer any injustice. The rear of the car has disappeared, and Yang Ruimin is still shouting at the top of her lungs to protect Yang Zizi. It shows how precious he is to this daughter. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 180. Chapter 180 School Bully. On the first day of school, there was a huge crowd. At a glance, they were all heads. Fortunately, the Gu family had special treatment and was received by the principal in person. I heard that the principal was Yang Ruimin's college classmate. They had a good relationship. They were like male best friends, and they kept in touch with each other relatively frequently. The principal personally took Yang Zizi through the enrollment procedures and received textbooks. Yang Zizi was assigned to Class 1, which was the sprint class of this year. The best students were carefully selected to form this class. The classmates looked at this strange student and seemed to be very unfriendly. They were all carefully selected to enter the first class, and they didn't know how the student got into the same class as them. Yang Zizi turned a blind eye and found a seat by the window and sat down. The head teacher walked in. He was a tall, thin, middle-aged man. Yang Zizi rested his chin on his board hand and looked out the window. It's autumn. In the whole class, Yang Zizi was the one who showed the least respect to the class teacher. The other students listened carefully to the class teacher's speech on the new school year, but she was the only one who looked out the window blankly. The head teacher's brainwashing speech is finally over. Yang Zizi walked out of class and suddenly saw a couple arguing on campus. It seemed that the boy wanted to break up with the girl because he was about to take the college entrance examination. And this boy looks so familiar. She remembered that when she followed the principal to collect books, she saw him leading another girl to report at the corner of the corridor, acting quite intimately. Looks like she may have fallen in love with someone else. Scumbag. Yang Zizi couldn't help but cursed in his heart, but what he was thinking about was the prosperous age of Lun. He didn't know who he was scolding. The female classmate chased after her, crying and shouting not to break up. She was extremely humble. Yang Zizi's anger skyrocketed. Why, it's a boy who breaks up when he says to break up, a boy who leaves when he says to leave, and a boy who lies. Yang Zizi couldn't stand it anymore, so he ran forward and grabbed the male classmate who was about to slap the female classmate on the face. Space kick. He kicked him in the stomach and flew out, hitting the window of a classroom on the second floor. The window was penetrated by this force, and the male student lay bleeding in the classroom on the second floor. The students on the second floor popped their heads out as if they were watching the fun. How to fly from the first floor to the second floor. The female classmate saw that her boyfriend's life and death were unknown, so she ran to the second floor crying. Yang Zizi clapped his hands and strode away, passing the ambulance at the school gate. The male classmate was beaten so hard by Yang Zizi that he suffered a concussion and has not yet woken up. The camera captured this scene, which shocked everyone. How could an underage girl knock a male classmate off the second floor? This is simply incredible. The principal was also in a dilemma, and he didn't know whether he should talk to Yang Ruimin about this matter. Finally, as the principal of the school, he called Yang Ruimin to inform him. Yang Ruimin naturally believed in her daughter. After listening to the principal's story, she didn't care too much and did whatever she should. She didn't apologize or anything. Because now in her eyes, whatever her daughter does is right. The principal also sighed helplessly. Yang Ruimin finally found her daughter with great difficulty. It is normal to love her daughter very much. But this happened only in the past 2 or 3 days, another male student at the school was hospitalized. End of this chapter.